My name is Nicole. I am the National Sales Manager for LDPi Lighting. If you don't know who we are a lighting manufacturer located in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We specialize in hazardous, explosion-proof, and specialty lighting for the industrial applications. So today I'm going to talk to you about inspection lighting. I love inspection lighting. We do a lot with inspection lighting, and I think it goes hand in hand with everything you guys do. Kind of like everything, as time goes by, things change. The technology has changed quite a bit with inspection lighting over the years. It has definitely greatly improved from the days of incandescent and fluorescent lighting to LED lighting. So inspection lighting, what is inspection lighting? Before I jump into this too much, oftentimes people will call us and they will say, hey, I need inspection lighting. I will ask you a whole bunch of questions trying to determine what type of inspection you are trying to do. Are you looking for a general type of inspection, maybe to see if parts are fitting together correctly? Or are you looking for inspection lighting, looking for topographical imperfections? That's the kind of inspection lighting I am talking about today. Inspection lighting is oftentimes referred to as zebra lighting. It's a high contrast lighting. It creates a light dark contrast on the objects that are being inspected. That contrast is what really helps those imperfections pop during the inspection process. Inspection lighting is going to help things like scratches, pits, dents, light powder coat coverage, maybe heavy powder coat coverage, and orange peel really pop out to the folks inspecting the product. Who would benefit from inspection lighting? So really it's anybody who is making something that needs to have a nice quality surface. Maybe somebody who is building something, they powder coat it or paint it. You take it outside and all of a sudden you're finding those imperfections outside. You might need to look into some sort of inspection lighting. Maybe you already have an inspection station, so maybe that inspection station, maybe your light fixtures aren't configured correctly, or maybe you need to look at what is creating the issues. Or if you're sending product to a customer and that customer is contacting you saying, hey, I'm finding, pits or scratches, in the finish, and they send the product back and they're not happy, you might be interested in inspection lighting. So visual inspection, right, is a key step in manufacturing. We all know the cost of rework is, time is money, money is time kind of thing. We have a fair number of customers that use inspection lighting throughout different steps in their process. We have steel mills that inspect steel. So when the steel coils go out to the people using the steel coils, those coils are good. We have customers who use inspection lighting, like after the powder coat process, or maybe they're dipping the product in e-coat. Those customers are inspecting the parts right there to make sure there aren't imperfections. We have other customers who inspect the parts after the parts have been primed, powder coated, painted, clear coated, and have gone through the oven, which is great to inspect. But if you're only inspecting at that final station, if you find imperfections, you're having to go through all of those different coats just to fix the flaws. So a couple important features of inspection lighting, and actually I feel like I'm just up here rambling, but if anybody has questions, just blurt it out or raise your hand or something along the way. That would be great. But important features of a proper inspection lighting system is number one, using a light fixture specifically designed for the application. Inspection light fixtures aren't general fixtures like your troffer fixtures or your high bay fixtures. These fixtures are specifically designed for this process. They have special optics, special lenses, and they are designed to help those imperfections really pop. Inspection fixtures today, as opposed to the inspection fixtures 10 years ago, use more of a diffuse lens, diffuse optics to help reduce glare and eye fatigue. If you happen to be an inspector and you're inspecting products for 10 or 12 hours a day, oftentimes if If the light, it doesn't have some sort of diffuse light, your eyes are going to get very tired. We have heard of people getting headaches and stuff like that. So with LED, we've really transitioned and changed some of the optics and lenses. We also now incorporate different CCT or different color LEDs in some of our fixtures. This is really key for people who are painting a lot of products that are maybe white or silver. Your light colored products are generally the products that have the highest defect rate. If you are using an inspection fixture, which is generally built with a bright white light, white on white is very hard to see. So we have started throwing in some of our 3-row fixtures, we use a row of like yellow or amber colored CCTs to help create a nice light dark contrast. Another important key feature when you are looking at inspection lighting is making sure you have the appropriate light levels, right? If you have a high defect rate, adding more light isn't always going to solve the problem, right? Too much light could be bad. Too much light makes it hard to see, right? It will cause those imperfections to wash. So definitely keying in and getting those right light levels. And then of course there is the use of controls. Depending on your application, how things are set up, we can certainly help you work with you to design like a control system to really dial in those light levels to make sure your vertical light levels and your horizontal light levels are really where you want them and need them to be. That is also a very, very nice feature of LED lighting, right? Back in the day when we had fluorescent, you had one fluorescent fixture. You know, the 8-foot fixture was this wattage, a 4-foot fixture was this wattage. There were no dimming capabilities or anything like that, so you were stuck with what you had. LED, we have tons of flexibility. So here's a picture of a couple of our LED fixtures. Whether it's my fixtures or somebody else's LED inspection fixtures, they are going to look very, very similar. There are single row fixtures and then there are multi-row fixtures. Again, the nice thing about the multi-row fixture, this fixture here, is that you can build it with different color CCT or different color LEDs in it. That again will help with that contrast. Single row fixtures are generally, when you're setting up an inspection station, they're generally going to be spaced about 12 inches or 18 inch on center. So there, you will end up with a lot of light fixtures. Generally with the wider fixture, you're gonna space them out about 4 foot on center. These are just a couple of examples of full inspection tunnels or that have the complete halo. These are some of our bigger projects in the automotive world, but nonetheless, it's really just to show you, right? So if you have the smaller fixtures, you're going to have a lot of little fixtures. Consistency is key. So if you were to have an inspection station, like after primer or something like that, or even if you're inspecting the raw metal and then you're going to have an inspection station after you paint, you really want them to be very, very consistent. You don't always need a full halo, right? If you're just inspecting like a vertical side of a part, you won't need the overhead fixtures or things like that. So that is, I guess, one of the things that when you're looking at an inspection station or something like that, definitely work with somebody to make sure you're working to get the right configuration for your application. Controls. So about half of our customers, I would say, use controls with their inspection fixtures. This is an automated, or excuse me, a control panel with an HMI in it. You can get control panels with potentiometers, simple push buttons. Out at our, we have a display out here. You can controls, you can do something simple like a slide dimmer, but controls are great for these types of applications. So depending on your parts and depending how big your area is, a lot of customers will adjust like the vertical fixtures separate from the overhead fixtures, especially if you have a spec and you need to hit a particular horizontal foot candle level and a vertical. Adding those controls will really help you target in and get to the light levels you're really after. We can also provide, you can also do automated dimming controls, right? Automated controls are super, super cool. What they do is our control system can actually tie back to, like if the facility has a conveyor system, and a conveyor system that has the parts location and maybe the parts colors. If you're painting a lot of colors, and what your system can do is it can feed our system the information, and our light levels can actually adjust based on the part location and the part color. I guess I kind of skipped a step here. When you are inspecting a polished finish, you do get some, I'm going to say, glare or reflectance back from the part, right? So if you're painting a white part per se, you're going to get a lot of light reflected back at you. Whereas if you're painting a black part, that black is going to soak up a lot. So if you were doing a lot of inspecting at a lot of big parts, and maybe your inspectors are complaining again of eye fatigue or things like that, if you were to go with an automated dimming, the light levels would adjust based on the part color. And what that does is it keeps the reflectance or the glare very, very even, so your eyes aren't having to adjust. So that is probably the biggest feature or biggest reason for automated dimming. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Dimming protocol, if you want to get into dimming, we do offer fixtures, or the fixtures are offered with several different dimming protocols. 0 to 10 volt is the most common. If you have any controls in your facility, they are most likely 0 to 10 volts. They are the easiest to work with from a maintenance standpoint. You can simply add a fixture, you can remove a fixture, and you just connect the cables and you're good to go. Super, super simple. Dolly has some features, but if you use Dolly, fixtures that use Dolly drivers, you actually have to do programming if you're going to add a fixture or remove a fixture. Reason being is with a Dolly dimmable system, every single fixture has its own address, and you can actually program the light levels for every single fixture individually. So there's some super cool features, but from a maintenance side, it's going to be definitely more complicated. And I'm clipping right along. So I just have some photos of different lighting configurations, inspection lighting tunnels. Everybody's inspection area is going to be completely different. So I just wanted to show a couple of them. This is an automotive facility. We do a lot in automotive lighting, so that's what most of my photos are. It's hard to get photos. The photo on the left here is actually a tractor manufacturer who is inspecting parts for the tractor. Photo on the right is another automotive facility. Photo on the left is a newer automotive facility. This is a tier 1 supplier. So if you work with another manufacturer and maybe you inspect parts, or you paint parts and they paint parts, or you're sending parts from one person to another, if both of you have an inspection process or inspection stations, I would really recommend that you use the same type of lighting, the same type of configuration, so you're both seeing the same kind of imperfections. Otherwise, one of you may be catching a lot more defects than the other. I was talking to somebody earlier about ovens. This photo is from an automotive facility, but these are actually ovens. So right outside of the oven area, they do have a couple of fixtures where they're inspecting. These are actually all the same fixture, but I like the image on the end just because you can see the different color CCTs or different color LEDs in the fixture. That is super, super common. Oftentimes people think that it's a mistake, but it is really intentional to have the two different colors. Again, another automotive facility in general, and 99% of the time, we will never recommend generally having the fixtures going horizontal across the top. You generally want the fixtures perpendicular to the parts going down the line. Generally, either the part is going to be moving, like on these conveyor systems, right? Or even a rail overhead. Either the part needs to move or the inspector needs to move. The reason being is that you need that light image to pass over the product. So like I said, if the conveyor is moving, you can stand there stationary and the striping is passing over the parts. The part passing in and out of the light image is what helps those imperfections kind of pop out, making it easier to find them. But again, generally the fixtures are going to be perpendicular to the part. Generally, you want the fixtures to be very close together. You don't want big gaps because the gaps will create a dark part or a dark image, if you will, on the part, so that area won't be getting hit with stripes. And the striping is what helps the imperfection process, the defect detection process. Again, this is another inspection area. This one has huge gaps, but as you can see, the parts are on the cart, so they're actually going to wheel those around and make sure the carts and the parts on them are getting underneath the striping. This is actually from our facility. The photos aren't the best, but I guess I really wanted to show them because, again, the photo on the left is a little inspection tunnel at the end of a powder coat oven, but you don't, and the reason I'm showing is you really don't have to have a 20-foot inspection tunnel, a 100-foot inspection tunnel. You just need to have a tunnel that works, or lighting setup that works for you. It could be something small, it can be something big. It really has to do with your part, what you're inspecting. You know, how big is the part? How high is the part off the ground? Like all of those things you really have to take into account when setting up or trying to work on a tunnel configuration. If you are in need of inspection lighting, like I said, consult whoever you're working with. Let them help you build the best configuration for your parts. If anybody were to call me, I would ask you a million questions, right? So if you call and say, hey, I have an inspection area, it's just not working, I'm missing all the imperfections, we don't see them till they go outside or wherever, I'm going to ask you, how big is the area? How big are the parts? How high are the parts off the ground? What is your current inspection area? What does it look like? What do you have today? And what are you missing, right? To help me better understand what you have, what you're missing. Overhead lighting. If you have a ton of overhead lighting above this area, that overhead lighting is going to create glare. It will also cause the imperfections to get washed out, making it hard to see. But definitely just having the right configuration is definitely key. Again, you don't have to have fixtures mounted to structure, right? Maybe your facility doesn't have room. Maybe you'll have too many overhead cranes or something like that. We do have inspection lighting, and you can find inspection lighting on carts, right? Different configurations. We have 4-footers. The bottom left cart actually has 8-foot fixtures on it. We have there are carts like this one where the upper fixtures kind of pivot, right? So if you have like a table here that's maybe a little higher, you could use this type of fixture. The verticals will get the side, and then the overhead fixture will hit the top of the surface. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is that, you make those with it's adjustable or is it stationary?
Nope, you can actually rotate the overhead.
Tilt, but can you lift?
No, it doesn't go up and down. Yep, just the overhead tilts. This is built with 4-foot fixtures. It can be built with 6-foot. I just don't think you can go with 8-foot because then all of a sudden it gets really top heavy. A good portion of our carts also have dimming and on-off switches, so you can control the overhead separate from the tiltable fixtures, separate from the vertical fixtures, in case you're just trying to do like a more of a horizontal inspection. But to your point, this cart here, this bottom left one, those fixtures actually do shimmy up and down about 1 foot. So you can get them a little more up or down. Most of LDPi's carts are very customizable. This is inspection lighting. This is ordinary location lighting. So we can really do a lot of customizations. Our biggest issue will be if you want an 8-foot vertical fixture, because the 8-foot fixtures, especially if we go with like a 2 or 3 row fixture, they're very, very heavy. But we can do just about any kind of customization aside from that. And I kind of think that's all I have. I kind of clicked through this really, really quickly. Yes, sir.
I'm just sitting here wondering, how does it affect the system if you're buying paint from two different companies?
Oh, good question. So the LEDs we use in our fixture are high CRI LEDs. So they will actually make your colors more true to what they would be. So the color you're painting inside should be the color that you're seeing outside. So to your point, if you got two different colors, like maybe a hood and a fender, with two different paints, you should see the difference under those LEDs because they're going to be really true to the outdoor light.
So it will basically be like taking the part outside and comparing it to the sun.
Yeah, yep. I wouldn't consider our fixtures color match fixtures because those are very special fixtures and they use a bunch of different LEDs. But the CRI is high. It's greater than 95, and the outside light is 100. So it's very high. Back in the days with fluorescent, it was greater than 80, so it was pretty low. Good question. Yes, sir.
Does it work well with unpainted, like prior to the paint? Like we do a lot of aluminum and we don't see the imperfections because we get actual paint on it.
So we do a lot of metal. Yes. Yep. We definitely do metal. With the metal, we still generally are going to recommend like a fixture with 2 CCTs. But yeah, we've worked with, I don't want to say aluminum, but we've done steel mills in particular. So we could certainly help you out. So is it just that they're getting washed, so you're not seeing them, or?
Well, after the metal prep, after the sanding, there'll be like little pits or just sanding that we don't see to the naked eye, and then
Okay.
you put a powder on it and also just
Right. Yep. Nope. That's exactly what these fixtures were designed for, just to show those pits. It's just a matter of having the fixtures positioned in a way so we can get the stripe to pass over, the metal that you're inspecting. Yeah, definitely the fixture for the application. We do actually have a demo out here that has a panel that has pits and dents and scratches. Some of them are very exaggerated because if you don't inspect the product yourself, it takes a bit to actually figure out what we're talking about right? If your eye isn't trained for it. So we did exaggerate some of those, but you might want to check it out. I think it would be a good solution.
Would this kind of lighting be able to help the air pockets and gelatin fiberglass? Or would it be 100?
Are the air pockets raised, or are they like bubbles?
Very likely sometimes. There's little bubbles, depending on how big the air pocket is. It's not raised. You should see, you put a flashlight on and kind of see the transparency.
Oh, okay. I do believe so. In some cases like that, what we would do, I'm almost afraid to say this, but anyways, because your situation is a little unique, we would probably see about, if we could work with you to send you just like a demo fixture just to evaluate, or have you send us maybe a part that's defective, and then we would run it under some inspection lighting in our facility to see if it would pick it up. If you had a part, you could like circle it and send it to us, like I said, or we could send a demo fixture to you. You could check it out. The advantage of us doing it is that we can, check out the different fixture options that we have. Whereas if I'm sending you a demo fixture, it might just be what I have available. They work very similar, but sometimes one fixture is a little bit better than the other. So, yep. Anybody else? All right, well, we do have a display. I will be here for a little bit today. Otherwise, Carrie Horton is our regional sales manager. She works with all those folks at Spray Equipment. She can certainly answer questions or give you my card, and we would love to talk with you.